Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey podcast, extra edition. I threw in an extra for extra, just to have an extra in our extra edition. I'm joined today, and as always, by Jason JY. Jason.
I haven't had that brief of a name introduction in years. Jason JY. Who's that? Who are we talking about? Who's behind me? Man,
Well,
you talk about an extra, and then you just give me the absolute minimum. Yeah, there's only so much in the budget, and we don't have any more letters for Jason.
It's true. Well, I saw your name on the screen, which, listeners can't see, but viewers can see that your screen name says Jason JY.
That's it. Clean, business-like, to the point.
Yeah, exactly. Where mine says Joshua Morrissey Hatton.
There you go. Best use your middle name.
Yeah. Speaking of singers, really quickly, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did the news, if at all?
Not the fucking slightest.
Come on. Come on. How did the news of Ozzy Osbourne's passing hit you?
I texted you and I said, to be fair, he had 50 at least bonus years, right? Like, I think we should be celebrating the fact that he didn't die in his 20s and lived to be an old man. Like, that's a man who cheated death for a fair few decades. I think that's worth celebrating. So there you go. My response to Ozzy's death was celebratory. he cheated death.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there. Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, should we ask you about your response?
Oh my gosh, dude! I'm afraid to go into too much depth because I may start crying.
Bringing it up.
Oh my gosh, Jason! I literally, like, when it came out, I started sobbing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I started sobbing, and Haida had come home from whatever she was doing. And she said, I heard the news. How you doing? And it started all over again. And she had to hug me. She had to console me.
Did she bite the head off a bat? That's the question. How above and beyond did Haida go? She's like, I know it'll cheer you up.
The God's honest truth is that for my 5th birthday, I think I may have mentioned this. I know you know this story. I don't remember if I've mentioned this on the podcast.
We've told all stories multiple times on this podcast.
But as a reminder to listeners, for my 5th birthday, my uncle got me the first Ramones album and Black Sabbath Paranoid. And it was listening to Black Sabbath Paranoid and hearing Geezer Butler's bass that told me I want to be a bass player.
There you go.
And so listening to that's the reason I play music, and viewers can see my bass guitars on my wall here. Like, it means a lot to me. And so it hit me hard.
This is the problem with kids nowadays. Yeah. Nobody gifts them enough Black Sabbath albums.
No one.
It's just like, you go to Target, you go to the kids section, there's no Black Sabbath albums.
None.
Like, how are we even raising our kids nowadays?
Doesn't make sense.
This is embarrassing.
Right?
We failed.
How many SZA albums did you gift your boys?
SZA. Oh my God. Are you really making a SZA reference?
Right?
Like, there's no other band. Like, you're talking about SZA as in
first. SZA. Yeah, it's the first reference that came to mind, SZA. I mean, right? Isn't SZA just on the tip of your tongue?
Yeah, I'm a Chapel Roan guy. I'm Chapel Roan ride or die.
I like her. Yeah, she's the Pink Pony
Club. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's good. I like her.
Yeah, she's got that one song that sounds like a Bay City Rollers tune. So
100%, right? Yeah. The Ramones have a song that sounds like a Bay City Roller song.
Decemberists have a song that sounds like the Bay City Rollers. What does all of this take us back to? The Bay
Black
City
Sabbath.
Rollers.
Oh,
yeah, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black
But here we are, two different responses to the same death.
All right. Let's talk about. You want to talk about whiskey related things? Ish. You know, a while back we had a secondary podcast that we had introduced and then we got rid of, and now we sort of brought it back. It was Extra Extra. And here it is back.
You'd
and
never guess that, given our current naming conventions. You would never guess we used to have a podcast called Extra Extra.
But I remember when we brought out Extra Extra, it was sort of around the time of COVID, and it was when Donald Trump was elected the first time around, and these initial tariffs came into play. And tariffs were really the talk of the town when it came to our extra episodes, right?
Tariffs and SZA. Like, that's all anybody was talking about.
Just because we wanted to cut the tariffs. Yeah, and it seemed as if we couldn't escape them. And
lo and behold.
But I remember us discussing at one time the tariffs regard just the one time. I seem to remember us discussing the Indian tariffs on Scotch whiskey, which were 150%.
Yeah. The part for me was, we were hearing from the SWA, the Scotch Whisky Association, was talking India more and more. And for the better part of a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades at this point, we've been talking about the rise of the BRIC countries, BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. And as we've said on this podcast many, many times, Russia has been doing the hokey cokey. It's in, it's out, it's in, it's out. It's shaking it all about. Brazil, we've talked about, increased exports to Brazil. Brazil seems to have been growing. China, was doing extremely well for the industry, and then overnight went away. And talk to anybody right now about their China numbers, and they're not good.
Down,
Which left India. But India was sitting with 150% tariffs. And so the thought of getting anything beyond about a 30 quid bottle of Johnny Walker Red into India seemed like a Herculean proposal. But we kept hearing the Scotch Whisky Association talking around India, right? If we could enter negotiations, if we could bring down that number, if we could gain access to that country, the opportunities would be vast. And we had said to each other, watch India, watch SWA, watch the British and Indian governments. They desperately want something to work out here. Cut to second Donald Trump term in America. Cut to the return of American tariffs on 200 countries around the world. Everybody knows 200 is the number.
Tariffs on penguins, right?
Those penguins, they're not going to get a free ride anymore. So we went back to American tariffs and Trump tariffs. And then we went back around the doors. Okay, how does this affect growth? How does this affect exports? What does this mean for the Scotch whiskey industry? And now, in the last week or so, boom, we've got word around India. So you were saying a second ago that the halving of them, 150% tariffs down to 75% tariffs.
Yeah, it was, and that was an effort that had been going on for quite some time, right?
Yep.
Like that was the aim. Let's get it from 150 down to 75, which is still incredibly high, but
it's
half,
insane.
right? Yeah.
And then did you see the 10-year plan?
So the 10-year plan is, yes, to bring it from 75 down to 40.
Indeed.
Correct.
And so, on one hand, I look at it like, okay, it's a success. It's not 150, it's 75. You're going to work towards 40. I worry that it somewhat makes a mockery of us complaining about the 10% Trump tariffs on Scotch, right? Where, we're recording this July 29th, dropping it July 30. Trump was in Scotland meeting with Keir Starmer at Turnberry on July 28th. And the talk there was both the British government and the Scottish government wanting to remove tariffs on Scotch. And this idea that Trump was like, oh, I didn't know Scotch was included in the tariffs. Like, who, me?
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
Scotland. I love the Scottish people. Famously not a drinker of alcohol. So, and so that's my, concern, small c, worry, small w, is that while we're telling Trump that these 10% tariffs are onerous on Scotch, we're over in another realm celebrating bringing Indian tariffs down to 75.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any reduction in tariff is a celebration. It's a help, right? There's no doubt about it. And having a long-term goal to bring the tariffs down further is also a help. I think that should be celebrated. I do agree with you that it does make our argument regarding the 10%, almost as if we're, crying when we shouldn't be. But 10% is more than you think it is. And what, especially in these tougher times, when you look at a news story that just came out, it was either yesterday or today, when you've got companies like William Grant, right? The owners of Balvenie and Glenfiddich, who their numbers dropped by 30%. Right?
Yep,
I mean,
it's a big number.
right?
A
Huge number, right?
of your business.
A third of your business has dropped off. So
you see the Diageo CEO step down?
Diageo CEO stepped down. LVMH CEO has switched. The MGP CEO has
Indeed,
switched.
MGP,
Like,
just saw that.
there's huge shakeup happening in the industry. But let me get back quickly. I mean, man. Wow, we could be going down a big rabbit hole there. But let me get back quickly to this Indian tariff situation here, because I remember our initial conversations regarding this tariff. When we were talking about it, and we were saying, 150% tariff, and the SWA was pushing hard to cut it in half to 75. You and I don't know if you were saying this as loudly as I was, but you and I were saying, boy, I hope they don't do that. I hope it stays 150 for two reasons. A, we were thinking about the Indian producers, right? That of Paul John, Amrut, Piccadilly, right? Who makes Indri and so forth, who make liquor for their own market. We didn't want their own businesses to get negatively affected. And two, it was during a time when sourcing liquid was increasingly difficult, right?
When you led with the supporting the Indian producers, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds like us. Now you've got to the selfish reason. I'm like, oh yeah, 100% remember reason number 2. 100% yes.
Yeah, I wanted to start with selfless and then end with selfish.
Yeah, I have no recollection of number 1. I absolutely remember number 2.
Yeah,
It
and
did make
now
it harder for us.
right, and I was, oh God, if they drop that down to 75,
So
you know, we won't have any liquid available to us.
So I would say this: a lot has changed in the last 5 years.
Right, and now, you know, I'm so incredibly thankful for it because, again, back to what we just said about William Grant, to what we said about Diageo, to
100%.
LVMH, these companies need that tariff to be dropped, right? India is perhaps the largest market for spirits, for whiskey
Largest
consumption.
potential, yeah. Well, especially on the back of a China drop.
Correct. So we need those taps to be flowing. We need.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with AF. We need taps AF. It's always taps AF. What's the temperature? Taps AF.
Taps
Okay.
AF.
That's it. But you're saying taps on.
Taps on, right? Yeah,
Taps on.
we need a place to put this liquid. We need distilleries to have a reason to keep those stills running. We need these distilleries to have a reason to keep employees employed and so on. And India is now is giving them a reason to do that and has a long-term plan to keep that going.
Yeah. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think I read this deal could be worth $4.5 billion dollars to the British economy. That's a big chunk of change, and it's my mind always goes back to Anthony Wills at Kilhoman saying, you know, let the big brands, let the big producers go into India, let them crack that nut, let them get boots on the ground and start talking about Scotch whisky and the Scotch whisky industry, and then allow us smaller producers to go in behind that and have our chance to tell our stories. And I sometimes think back to America, and I think about the larger brands that we saw born in America, or maybe born by America. And I think about, you know, the Macallan coming over here and really hitting the ground running, right? Yeah. The Dalmore coming over here and really creating a market for itself. I think of anywhere I go, I don't know if I hear more people speaking more effusively about Dalmore than in America. And so on the back of that, right, that opened big doors. Smaller producers came through those doors, and us independents came right behind that. Right. And I think of the strength of America for the independent bottling market and the level of enthusiasm and passion. And so, you know, in thinking about, and to me, that's been since about the 1980s, certainly 1990s in America, that really championing and growing and building to where we now sit in 2025. That's the road ahead in India now. And I think to your more generous point a second ago, what does that mean for an Amrit? What does that mean for an Indri? I still remember us talking to, blanking on a name, that's embarrassing. He was with Paul John.
Shilton Almeida. He's now with M&H, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're talking to him and him being so proud of this go-in spirit pouring for people in India, and the number of Indians who wanted the Scotch, right? They didn't want the Indian product. And partly to your point, you know, what does this mean for Indian producers? My hope is that it gets to show how good they are and how they stand up against the Scotchies that are being imported at a 75% tariff that in 10 years might become a 40% tariff. Like, Amrit is cracking, Paul John is cracking, Indri is cracking. You know, like putting that in a tasting along with some of these Scotchies coming in, I hope it builds it. I hope it builds the category for them. I hope it gives them something to feel proud about, the way we talk about American single malt sitting here in America.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting point. There's a number of just Venmo me the $5 we talked about earlier.
Thank you.
But there's so many people, here in the U.S. and I imagine in a number of other countries whose foot in the door is to single malt with Scotch whiskey, who then found their way into Indian single malt because of Scotch whiskey. I wonder, and also hope, like you, I wonder if people in India will follow suit.
Yeah. Well, and I think about the work that Raj Sabharwal did in America to push Amrut, the work that Jonathan Bray did in Canada to push Amrut, right? And then, obviously for anyone paid attention over the last 2 decades, Amrut Fusion being the number 3 whiskey in the world and the whiskey Bible of a certain year from Jim Murray, right? That landed it incredibly well. So the reputation for American single malt did I say? Okay.
You said American single malt.
I thought I did. Yeah, I thought I did. Yeah. The reputation for Indian single malt outside of India, obviously we're sitting here in America, is huge and has had such a successful run. It's always sad when someone says, "No, I'll take the Johnny Red over this Paul John that you're offering me."
Amazing.
Because it's Johnny, right? It's Johnny Walker. It's a known brand. It's on billboards.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point too, Indri was Whiskey of the Year with their Diwali release. I think it was last year. It might have been 2 years in a row. Listeners, viewers, please correct me if I'm wrong. So you've got Amrut with huge awards with that number 3 Whiskey of the Year. And then you've got Indri with their Diwali release with Whiskey of the Year.
Yeah.
So
cracking liquid.
Yeah. So there you go. So there is hope. There's hope for the Scotch whiskey industry writ large that we can go ahead.
This conversation makes me think of something else I saw, and this is a little bit older. I saw this in VinePair, April or May, maybe. In here we're sitting the end of July, but it's kind of sown a seed in the back of my head.
All right. Sowing the seeds of love.
Sowing the seeds of love. Sowing the seeds of whiskey. So the question is, what is the best age at which to release whiskey? And the article, because it's an article on the internet, has an answer. And
of course it does.
And then they speak to various industry people, one of whom shares the same number, and everybody else has a different answer. And so how they got that number, I'm not entirely sure. But if you were to guess the ideal age at which a whiskey should be bottled and sold, what number would you guess?
Oh my gosh, this sounds like the dumbest article ever.
Two of our good friends are in it.
Oh, jeez. Oops.
And one of those friends says the number that was picked up by the article as the ideal number.
But there's so many variables. What country was it made in? What's the climate? What type
so we're going Scotch. We're going Scotch.
We're going Scotch. Okay.
Scotch.
Yes. Cool. Okay, thank you. I guess I should have asked for leaves to be put on branches.
Yes. Scotch.
Okay. Scotch. Should I go Hitchhiker's Guide and go with 42?
That's always the correct number.
It is the correct number. So I would say that someone likely said 15.
So you're not right, but you're not a million miles away.
Okay.
Would you like a second guess? And don't just say 60.
Well, I mean, there's the two most common ages are 12 and 18. And so I figured that,
Well
15
done.
would be, you know what I mean? So,
What's good is
yeah.
you have now said the number that was picked by the article.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. So okay, so can I ask for one more leaf to be put on a branch? Was it from a flavor perspective or from a saleability perspective?
They just went with the best expression of a whiskey from a distillery.
Oh, I would say 18.
That is exactly the number that they had on the article. Like the
Yeah.
article leads with 18 years old is the ideal age for a Scotch.
Yeah.
Like, are you crazy? Like, what are you talking about? And then Dan Crowell
Yeah.
of Glenmoe, right? Dan Crowell is the lead comment, and Dan says 18.
Huh.
And then Ewan, old Google,
Oh, yeah.
is the second comment on it, the second industry expert,
Mhm.
and he says 16 to 18, I think. He's in that like 15 to 18 kind of realm.
Okay.
So he hedges his bets a little bit. And then there's a dude in there who says 45. 45 is the number. If you want the best expression from a whiskey, it should be 45 years old.
45.
That's hugely important. And then they keep going with people, and then various other like Gillian McDonald from Ardbeg/Glenmoe, says, well, that's like asking how long's a piece of string, right? Like you. Then she got into, well, it depends on the spirit, and it depends on the cask, and it depends
That
on,
is a proper answer, right?
right?
Yeah, there you
100%.
go. There you go.
100%. There's also not a lot of Ardbeg 18 floating around, although they do put their money behind Ardbeg 19. So maybe. And so I just thought that was really interesting. So I'm going to put your feet to the fire, Mr. Hatton, and then you're welcome to put my feet to the fire. For Scotch whiskey, what age statement do you find presenting the most consistent top quality Scotch? And I'm only giving you one number. I'm not giving you a range. I'm not going to allow you to say, well, for an Islay, blah, 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 for a Speyside, blah, blah, for a Sherry cask, blah, 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 for an Indian, say, no. Scotch, one number, consistency. Because this is the point the guy was making on the 45-year-old. He was like, if you get a whiskey up to that age, you're almost, I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, you're almost guaranteed a cracking whiskey, right? If someone's taking the time to release it at 45, you know you've probably got one in your hands. So for you, there must be an age statement that you've regularly encountered that has been the most consistent.
Oh boy, that is a tough one. Yeah, okay. So let's think about this. If we're thinking about Islas, you've got your Ardbeg 10, always solid. You've got your Bowmore 12, that starts to get tropical.
All right, gives a different region, because this sounds like you're starting to be region specific. Gives another region.
No, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build here, right? Because you and I will when we talk about Isla, quite often we say, "Ooh, younger the better," right? But younger isn't always better when we're talking about Speyside.
Correct.
And so, you've got fewer Isla whiskeys, and so I'm trying to rationalize Isla, trying to get that number up so that I can then, apply it to other regions. Okay. I would say that You know what?
And I hope people listen to this on double speed, triple speed, 10 times speed.
I would say that an ideal age for a Scotch whiskey. Now, this is taking into consideration all regions. This is homogenizing all cask types, right? This is averaging everything out, right?
This is presenting an answer that is 100% bullshit and completely meaningless.
Yeah, completely meaningless.
Continue.
I would go with 13.
Oh, shit. Do you know my number?
Was it 13?
14.
14. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
I was thinking about cask lists. I was thinking about, okay, here we are in 25, planning for 2026, looking at 2011s, 2012s, right? And I think there's a consistency to what we're seeing there. And then thinking historically, right? Like, yeah. What's really problematic is the more I've thought about this really bullshit number in an article that, just killed time on the internet, the more I think 18 is a really good answer.
Good answer. It's a good answer.
And then the more I've kind of unpacked that, I'm like, I think about the 16-year-old releases, like the Glen Grant 16 and the Ann Knox 16, even the Aaron 16 back in the day when they did that.
Classic Lagavulin.
Right, great point. Right, those were good, but then I don't know if I'm really looking at that kind of age when we're going through cask lists. Maybe quite as much, but 14 really came up to me, and I'm thinking about what we've been putting into retail a lot recently. There's a lot of 14-year-olds rolling around.
There's a number of 17s as well, though. Right? We've got a Bow Blair coming out here in the US, a Manic Moore.
And that's where I was starting to think, oh shit, 18 is a good answer. But I can't say 17 because I made fun of them for saying 18. So yeah, the 13 obviously Craigellachie is the age on that one. Like,
that's part of why I said 13 is that Craigellachie is just so good.
Absolutely. We've also had good 13-year-old casks floating around as well. Right? I think we just did a Black Spoke Bridge, unnamed Speyside distillery. That at 13. So that's why I in my own head, before you said your number, I had settled on 14. So the fact you came out with 13. So that to me is the point of articles like that, right? It's to have a laugh, it's to have a chat. Hell, we get to talk whiskey, right? And we're so busy talking about, the industry and markets and tariffs and, everything else that goes with the current lay of the land. Let's talk whiskey. So that was fun. I laughed a lot. Yeah. I think that was a success.
I think we needed that. I think we needed that a lot. I really hope too, when you let off with that question, and I said, man, that sounds like a stupid question or a stupid article. I hope I hope I didn't offend the author. I guess I should have led with, can you give me more information on that? Because if the question was, what's the best age for a whiskey without, is it Scotch? Is it American? Is it Indian? Is it, right? Yeah. I guess I was stupid in just leading with that without digging deeper.
Right, which I think is the big thing we've been overcoming now for 2 decades is an Indian whiskey doesn't need to be 18 to be considered the best. An American single malt doesn't have to be 18 to be considered the best, right? Yeah. A Finnish, a Swedish, a Danish, right?
Yeah.
Age statements, don't carry the water that we always used to believe they did. And so to come back around to a question about an age statement is to kind of acknowledge the inherent meaningless of the question, but then unpacking it sufficiently to say, however, there are ways we think about things. There are ways we communicate things. There is fun to be had here. So I think we did I had fun. I hope the listeners and the viewers had fun. I hope you had fun, but I certainly had fun.
Yeah. It's funny. I do think about when I look at bottles, what are the numbers that excite me? When I see something below 8, I get excited. If I see something 18 and above, I get excited, right? These
Oh,
are
really?
the yeah, I
Interesting.
do personally. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, for me, it was putting out our Glenmurray 7-year-old and having the number of people who said, you never see 7 on a label.
Mm, mm,
Never,
mm.
never. Even an independent would pick a 6 or an 8. They
Yeah,
wouldn't pick
sure.
a 7.
7? Yeah, yeah,
Or, Kilhoman at 4. Don't see a lot of
yeah,
scotches with a 4 on the label.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to see a few more of those kind of esoteric,
Mm,
squiggly lines on the front of a label. That'd be fun.
mhm,
But you got to find the good liquid, and that's to me where this Vine Pair article kind of made some sense. Is you might find, to use one of your fun words, a banger at
mhm,
5 years old, right? Might have a cracking cask at 5 years old.
mhm.
You won't necessarily have consistency in casks that are 5 years old,
Correct.
right? Get up to 13, get up to 14, you might find a little more consistency,
Yeah.
broadly speaking,
Mm,
generally
mhm,
speaking.
mhm.
So, and I think that speaks to why you would put out a 4-year-old or a 5 or a 6 or a 7, because you found something really special. You're going a different direction. Or, to your
Yeah,
larger point, it's from a different region. It's from a different part of the
yeah.
world. It was matured differently, different conditions. So
Mm.
that to me is the leaves on the branches that continue to make this an interesting endeavor.
Oh, I really like that point that you just made, that when you see a whiskey at a really young age, that 4, that 5, that 7, whatever it is, it was bottled because it was really interesting. Because especially in Scotch whiskey, it's fewer and further between that it is remarkable
Right,
at that age,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah, I like that. I
Yeah,
like that a lot. Yeah.
yeah. There you go. All right. I
Ooh, that
At
2
this point, I'm
compliments. Oof.
at this. Well, I'm appreciating that. It's also making me think of our Balcones 4-year-old,
Yeah.
uh,
All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
distilled in 2020.
All
So
right.
you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
good 4-year-old whiskey there.
Yeah. Okay. We got some tasting to do. All right. So, listeners, viewers, firstly, thank you so much for listening, for watching. If you've got any questions, or maybe you've got an article you want to send our way for one of our extra episodes, as you know, we do these extra episodes every other week, but we actually swap them out. The next extra episode is going to be Single Cask Nation news focused, right? So we'll be talking about some Single Cask Nation news coming up. But if you do have an article that you want to send our way, please go ahead and do that. info@singlecastnation.com. And again, if you're a viewer, you can always, and if you haven't already, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're a listener and you haven't been viewing us, please come to YouTube, look at our faces, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the little bell below so you'll be reminded of our videos. Am I forgetting anything, Jason?
Email address?
Oh, email address. I think I did say that. Info at
Maybe.
singlecastnation.com. I did promise in the last episode. I did promise that our questions at One Nation Under Whiskey email would be coming around. Microsoft had told us GoDaddy has been presenting some sort of issues, and so our IT guys are trying to resolve said issues. So we're still struggling, dear listeners and viewers, but we will get there eventually. Where there is a will, there is a way. If you dream it, if you will it, it is no dream, right?
Be the change you want to see in the world, Joshua.
There you go. I love it. There you go.
All right. There we go. Nothing left to say. We've said all the words.
All right. Cheers, listeners, viewers.